Do me for hold this L.
Hold this L.
Hold this L.
Welcome to Hold This L podcast featuring Cappel and Lonnie. This is our first show, and before we get started, we want to just kind of introduce what the show is about. We're going to be talking about sports on this show, of course, and we're going to try to give it do it a little differently than other podcasts. You know, they got the debate sports shows, they got sports shows that talk about fantasy football, they got sports shows that talk about topics in general, sports topics. Well, we're going to try to combine all three and give you a little debate, just some little sports info, and as well, we're going to touch up on some fantasy, you know, so I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Cappel England, you know, and my co-host here, I'll let him introduce himself.
What up, what up? This Lonnie. Just want to give you a holler. Take it on over, Cappel.
All right. So today is June 22nd, and we are still with no sports. You know, it's been rough, man. It's been rough with no sports, but they still got some sports in the news. You know, talking about football, the season is close upon us. We're wondering if that's gonna happen. You know, talking about baseball. Baseball coming back. They have some labor agreements, and then of course there's basketball. Hopefully we got a playoffs coming soon. But we want to have this conversation that was really hot about a month ago. You know, they had the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, out, and of course that sparked a debate that's been a debate for years now. Who is the GOAT? And primarily when people ask that question, they talk about who's the GOAT between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Well, today we're going to find out who the GOAT really is according to Lonnie and Cappel. And, the crazy thing about that, Lonnie, is when people say that, it's automatically LeBron James and Michael Jordan, as if nobody else fits into that category. But they got several people who fit into that category who can be a part of the GOAT conversation, you know. So we gonna get into that. You know, I'm gonna give you my GOAT, you're gonna give me your GOAT, and we're gonna see, who, when it comes down to it, who is really the GOAT. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you go with your argument, and let us know who you think the GOAT is.
Man, I thought a lot about it. But honestly, after looking at everything, I would have to say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, man. Just looking at just all the stats, all the accomplishments, 6 NBA titles, 6 MVPs, 10-time All-Star. Well, no, 10-time NBA All-First Team. I'm sorry, 19-time All-Star. NBA All-League scoring champion, 3-time NCAA champion, 2-time assistant coach champ also to go along with it. I mean, just a couple of those things just to name out. I don't even think, to be honest with you, it should even be a debate when it comes to him. I don't think he get the respect he deserves at all. I mean, what do you think?
Well, to be honest with you, I feel like it's not a hands down thing. Even with the person that I chose, I had to narrow it down. I narrowed it down to 3 different people, and I tried to choose somebody from each era because, and of course, you could probably say there's like 4 eras. There was an era where LeBron dominated, then Kobe dominated, then Jordan dominated. Then you can say maybe Bird dominated, Magic, Bird, then Russell, Will Chamberlain. So there's like certain, time frames, but I kind of narrowed it down to 3 people, and that's Bill Russell, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. And the way you feel about Kareem, I feel about Bill Russell when it comes to respect, and a lot of people just forget him. When you look at Kareem accolades, they're great, but Bill Russell, 11 championships, like, that's undeniable. Like, Jordan didn't get close to touching that. Like, most people don't even go past 5 finals. I think the most somebody has been to outside of Jordan going to 6. Superstars, that is, because Robert Horry, I think he has 6 too, but that's with like several teams, But I looked at Russell, and like 11 NBA championships, 5 NBA most valuable players, 12 NBA All-Stars, 1 NBA All-Star MVP, 3 NBA All-Star first team, 8 NBA All-Star second team, 1 NBA defensive first team, and 4 NBA rebound champions. Now, the reason why I had to eliminate Bill Russell from this conversation is because this is crazy, right? You're gonna hear this, you're gonna be like, that don't even make sense. He was a 5-time NBA Most Valuable Player, right? In 1958, he won Most Valuable Player, but in 1958, he was All NBA second team. How? How are you All NBA second team? How are you All NBA second team when you was the Most Valuable Player? Fast forward 1961 to 1963, he was the NBA Most Valuable Player again. 1960 through 1962. So that means 61 and 62, the same year he was NBA Most Valuable Player, again, All NBA second team. That stat don't even like line up to me. You cannot be NBA second team when you was the NBA's most valuable player. That's automatic All NBA first team. So that discrepancy right there just kind of picked him out. I just had to eliminate him because I know he was great, but then Will Chamberlain was great as well. I don't even think he was always the greatest person during that era. He just was on a team that was great, which allowed them 11 championships. Then I go to Michael Jordan. 6 NBA championships, 14 All-Star games, 5 season MVPs, 6 finals MVPs, defensive player one time, and I think the same year he won defensive player of the year, he won the season MVP, which is crazy. You basically dominated the league on both ends of the court for a whole season. Scoring leader 10 times, steals leader 10 times, All NBA first team 10 times, second team once, defensive first team 9 times, of course, rookie of the year. Those stats are impeccable. Those accomplishments are impeccable. Then I skipped to LeBron James, 16 times MVP, 4 times season MVP, finals MVP, scoring leader. Only once. That's the one knock is LeBron James when it comes down to, comparing him to Michael Jordan. I look at LeBron James as a scorer, but he only led the league in scoring once. And it's crazy because he could have led the league in scoring as much as he wanted to, but that's not his game. But that is something that I look at. And the defense part of it, that's another thing. He was all defensive first team 5 times, and then he just kind of stopped playing defense, which, I know he's capable of doing it, but again, that kind of hurts his argument. But the thing about LeBron, and I say is he's playing at the highest level right now of anybody at the age that he's at 35. Like, nobody's ever played at the level that he's playing. And it's not just he's playing high. He's playing at MVP level. Like, he's my MVP this year. And I think if the season continues, he has a good chance to actually win the actual award of MVP. His career is not done. He's the first player who has a real chance to have 40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, and 10,000 assists. That's not a club. He will start the club. And so when I just break it down, I know you had this conversation before, and I said Michael Jordan was the GOAT. But when I just really break it down and look at it, man, I got to go with LeBron James. I mean, it's the greatest of all time. And championships is just one category. You know what I'm saying? You got to add all that in there. And then when you think about the fact that LeBron James still has some time to go, to me, he is the GOAT undeniable. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I know you got Kareem, but he gonna break Kareem records wide open. He gonna break Kareem records wide open.
Right.
I don't know what you got.
You say that, but let's say he get hurt next year. So, I mean, if it was a fifth, I mean, yeah, he can break Kareem's records and stuff like that, but he hasn't yet. So let's pump the brakes. Let's keep in mind 3 championships. Still need a couple more before I even put you in the GOAT debate. Look, let's just be honest about it. And last time I checked, I'm going to go first Kareem. 6, they talk about 6 for 6 for 9. So I guess you get blamed for going to more, huh? So is it better to go to him and lose or not go to him at all? Because last time I checked, what it took Jordan 9-10 years to even get there. So I mean, when I look at that, I'm just like, come on, man. I mean, let's be honest about it. When it comes to it, I mean, 10-time All NBA first team, 5-time second team, 5-time NBA All Defensive first team, 6-time All NBA second team, NBA Rookie of the Year, NBA Rookie All First Team, 2-time scoring champion, NBA rebounding champion, 4-time NBA blocks leader. I mean, do I need to keep going? I mean, it's just when it comes down to it, 4-time NCAA champion. 3-time NCAA champion, 3-time NCAA Final Four most outstanding player, 3-time National College Player of the Year, 3 times consistent first team All-American. I mean, when it comes to athletes, I don't think nobody has it better. At this juncture, I do agree with you with LeBron in time. He's coming. He's coming. If he ends his career, he wins a couple more championships. and he finishes another 2 or 3 years, he's gonna surpass Kareem. So yeah, will be the GOAT, but he's not there yet.
Yeah,
That's what I
he's past Kareem now, and it is very easy and clear to see. All those NCAA stats does null and void. That don't count in the NBA. That you can use those to
you said
make it sound
basketball.
good. All those NCAA, the greatest all time NBA player. That's what the debate is. That's what's the always a debate.
Ah,
You know, you start adding
ah.
final, you start adding NCAA stuff in there. You can't even count LeBron. He was that good. He didn't go to college. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't penalize him for the rule changes that would exist in the past and how they are now. When he was playing, you didn't have to go to college, and he was that
Mhm.
good. So, but again, we talking about NCAA. A lot of great NCAA players got to the league, didn't do nothing. So we don't talk about the NCAA part. We talking about the NBA part. And LeBron has broken some of Kareem's records. He just hasn't broken that great record, which is the most points, which he will break. But you're right, you can't count that. But if LeBron's career stopped right now, he's still top two. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is not there. He's not even in the top two. You know, it's MJ, it's LeBron in my eyes and most people's eyes. But let's go to Kareem. Kareem he did a lot. All those things you said, those great accomplishments. Playing with a Magic Johnson and a James Worthy and a Byron Scott and a Michael Cooper and a Kurt Rambis. You know, a loaded team where all you had to do was focus on playing center. LeBron James plays all five positions, has played all five positions, and has played them very well. He brought that San Antonio, that team when they played Cleveland Cavaliers team, he brought
Mhm.
two shitty teams to the finals. Two Cleveland Cavaliers teams, two Cleveland Cavaliers teams to the finals.
And
Nobody in
lost.
history, and nobody that's you. You're right, but who else? You take your credit away from him because he lost, but nobody else would even get there. Besides Allen Iverson, who's taken a team to the finals with nobodies? You can't name one because nobody else has done it. Michael Jordan didn't do it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't do it. Larry Bird didn't do it. Bill Russell didn't do it. Nobody else has done it. So people criticize LeBron because he made it there with those teams and lost, but nobody else would have got there for us to even have that conversation about them with. So I flipped that. Like he's so great, he got scrubs to the finals. He couldn't cash in because there was a team that was great in the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. But he got them there when nobody else could have did that. So, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar couldn't lead a team. He could lead a team in scoring, but he couldn't lead a team to win the championship himself, which he never did. So,
Yeah. Well, let's revert back to your argument about the college thing. You know, we talk about the stats and how LeBron's going to pass him. Well, I wonder what would have happened if they could have put Kareem in the league 3 years earlier, and all that college stuff would have actually piled up on his stats. It's neither here nor there. Even though he did still play 20 years, but let's say he had played 23, probably wouldn't catch him. But that's neither here nor there. But that's a little bit of that going back to the college. You do kind of have to consider it being that LeBron, his college years were playing in the NBA, and that's why his stats are a little bit more boosted.
no, Kareem could have went to the pros after 1 year. He chose to go after four. Michael Jordan could have went to the pros after 1 year. He chose to go after two. So you got to give them some accountability for that as well. It's not like the rules where you had to finish 4 years of college before you had to go
Yeah, but you know
to the
that wasn't
pros.
the
You
norm.
just chose. Whether it was a norm or not, it was still part of the rules, and he chose to stay. That is on him. That's
Everybody
not on
stayed
nobody
until
else.
Kobe Bryant. Everybody stayed until Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett and all
It
them.
is what it is. You got to look at for things the way that they are. We can go in and throw in these ifs, but the reality is reality. I mean, we could go about this all day, man. But I think it's
Yeah,
good
you
that
know
we
it. You know it.
move on to the next topic. Go on to the next
Definitely,
topic.
definitely.
All right. So the next topic is NFL. NFL. Should the NFL season, or is the actual NFL season going to be held this year? That's the topic. And you know, I'll jump into that. Of course, I want it to be held, and there has not been a plan put out. Dr. Fauci says that the NFL should follow the model that the NBA was following and put everybody in a bubble. But I do not see how that's going to be possible for 5 to 6 months of a football season where you got people in players in a bubble. Not seeing their families or minimal contact with their families. And then, you know, like what if you have an outbreak? Like even now they have several high school teams and college teams where they're having
Yeah.
outbreaks with 15 and 20 kids or college players being, testing positive coronavirus. What if that happens with an NFL team? Or should I say, what happens when it happens with an NFL team? Because it feels like it's inevitable. What's your thoughts on that, man?
Man, to be honest with you, I cringe every time I think about it. Just not having no football.
Yeah,
But when it comes down to it, the reality of it is just even around the world. I mean, just to not even think about sports for a second. I mean, they kind of trying to go into different phases of opening stuff back up, and the cases have shot back up. So I mean, it's very very smart in my opinion to kind of really question should we put these guys on the field. And let's realistically think about it. It's a lot more contact in football than most sports. So I mean, you're doing a lot of touching, you're breathing, you're sweating. I mean, you're bleeding on each other. I mean, just all of that that goes into it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm the first person to say I want football. Look, I
yeah,
want football. They can figure out a way. You know, please figure out a way. But the reality of it is just the player safety come first. And when it comes down to it, I mean, it's a strong chance from what I'm feeling is that we won't have football as much as I want us to. I mean, I don't want to put players at risk just for us to have enjoyment.
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is like I look at the at risk part, and I guess my own personal opinion is I don't look too much at the at risk part because we all out here working, putting ourselves at risk, and they put themselves at risk for millions of dollars. I'm just looking at it from a realistic standpoint of, when these people, when these players are diagnosed, they can't play. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to make the rosters like double the sizes, or are they going to expand the roster sizes to where they have, adequate amount of players ready to play if people have to sit out? Because if you once you test positive for COVID, you out quarantined for about 14 days. That's two football games probably. If you think about it
Yeah,
from a week standpoint, 7 days in a week, so that's at least two football games, and maybe three, depending on how the schedule falls. If you've been out for 14 weeks because you 14 days because you're sick, and then you have another game within maybe 3 days of that. Like, are you
yeah.
really ready to play? Who knows how that's gonna work out? So I just maybe a shortened season where you have 8 games to make it shorter so you can, like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the money aspect is something that they definitely looking at, and that's the most important thing, to be honest, because if it wasn't about money, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. They'll just say no football. It's too
Yeah.
dangerous. But I don't know. I don't know. Anything
Well,
else you go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. The flip side to it is too is another thing that I think can be taken into consideration is playing in a lot of the warmer states. Florida. One of the reasons I think they put the NBA there, but just in some of the warmer states, because one of the things I have thought about, they were talking about, during the fall, when it gets cold, that's when it'll, become a problem. That's when what Dr. Fauci was talking about, the fall months. But what I've seen, I mean, I know being in Louisiana, but it don't even seem like we have a winter till like what, February or March.
That's true.
So I
It
mean,
does.
you really
Yeah.
about it. I mean, you playing, and I mean, it's gonna be hot. I don't think the risk is as high as they're making it out to be. Maybe somewhere in the higher states, where it snows a lot and stuff like that. But here, like more down south in the southern states, if they can figure out a way to kind of organize it to where a lot of the games are playing down there, I think it'll be fine.
I mean, I don't see, to give us some sports, to give us some football, like what's wrong with, one or two things, simplifying not simplify, but like reducing the number of games. That way you reduce the number of chances, possibilities of people to get COVID. So say from a 16 game season to maybe a 9 game season, 9 to 10 game season. And then with that, if you want to put people in a bubble, it may be easier to do it like the NBA. If you're going to do it for 3 to 4 months, then you put people in the bubble in, like you said, those warmer states across the U.S. So have some people in California, have some people in Florida, have some teams in Texas, and you divide all those states up, all those teams up into those different states, and they have games, and maybe you can have games on different days. Maybe you can start scheduling, and I don't know, it's when you start talking about TV contracts and stuff like that, that's probably why you can't do it that way, because
Right,
you can't
right,
just start having games on Saturdays and Thursdays and Mondays because they got TV contracts. But
right,
even if you
right.
kept it to a Sunday, if you divide these to 16 32 teams, so that means if you go 8 and 8, try to figure out a way to have 8 teams in one state, 8 teams in another state, 8 teams in another state. 18. I mean, I don't know. It may not work that way. Maybe these are very smart people that are working on the logistics. They may have thought about all these things, and the reason why we hadn't heard about it is because it probably doesn't work. So,
Right, right,
anyways,
right.
So let's jump on to the next topic. Colin Kaepernick. So everybody is aware of what has been going on in our country. You know, there's been a lot of protests in regards to the police brutality. You know, especially with what happened to George Floyd, that pretty much sparked the conversation that the nation's been having. And in that, the conversation of Colin Kaepernick has come back up. You know, he was whiteballed, as I've heard it said, which I
That's a
personally
new
like
one. I
that
hadn't
term.
heard that one.
Which I personally like that term better. You know, but he's been whiteballed from the NFL, and now Roger Goodell has come out and said that they were wrong, and he deserves to have another chance, and he encourages NBA, NFL teams to give him another chance. There have been a few teams that we've heard from. Well, one team in particular, but reports about a couple of other teams, which you don't know who those teams are, you know, that are claiming to have some interest. So, do you think Colin Kaepernick gets back into the NFL this year, Lonnie? Not should
Yeah.
he? We know he should. We all know he
Yes.
should. But
I do
do
think
you
I think
think?
he does.
All right.
And the reason I say that is because I mean, if you really think about it, think about the outcry, think about the outpour, and just think about what the fellow deal with not giving him a job. The media, everything they'll have, all the questions, it'll be a topic every week. Just for that alone, I feel like somebody's gonna sign him. One of the owners, they've already decided. We've discussed before. I really believe the owners run Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell don't come out and say anything the owners don't want him to come out and say. So when he come out and said what he said about, I feel like Colin Kaepernick should have a job. I feel like he should get an opportunity. That wasn't him saying that. Understand that was the owners. That was all a media ploy. That was all a setup. That's them showing their Black Lives Matter. They gotta support the cause. So I mean that's what that was all about. But will he get on team? Absolutely. Because for him to come out and say it, if he doesn't just come out on film and look absolutely terrible, which I doubt he will, I don't see a way no team can go without signing him.
Yeah. You know, I heard a different perspective on Roger Goodell and why he made the statement he made. The perspective that I heard was that he basically got his money. He's under contract. The new CBA just got signed, and they're going to be going to a new commissioner by the time this contract is over, and I think 2030 they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
going to a new commissioner anyways. So they feel like Roger Goodell actually is a just man, and even though he hasn't really supported causes as much as NFL players would have liked, it doesn't mean that he doesn't support him for himself. It's just that he's doing the owner's bidding. And now that he's locked in till the end of this CBA and they're going to be looking for somebody new anyways, that they believe him. They believe that he came out and made these statements, and that's what he is saying, and not that he got with the owners and like they're speaking, that he's speaking for them, like he's speaking for himself, knowing that nothing can happen to him because he got his money, he signed, the CBA got signed, he did everything he needed to do, and that's a very interesting perspective. I heard some NFL players, in particular Anquan Bolden, on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah. He was talking about how Roger Goodell is a just man, and Roger Goodell would sit in with them when they need to speak to higher people in high places, politicians and stuff about the injustices, and they, Anquan Bolden leads a players. They have a players coalition, and I guess it's composed of retired players and current players, So and hearing that from him, and I like Anquan Bolden. He's always had a voice, a powerful voice, and stood up for what was right. So for him to say that, and then hearing that perspective from somebody else, I'm wondering if that is true. I'm wondering if Roger Goodell do got a soft spot, for us and supporting black people and people of color, which is Black Lives Matter. But I guess we'll find out because actions speak louder than words. And right now, it's a lot of talking going on, but we need some action, so we'll see. But with that, with Colin Kaepernick, so I want you to give me three teams that you feel are the best fits for him. Well, he can start. What are the three teams that he can go and start that you think are good fits?
Man, that's a tough. I would actually say I like the Chargers, I like the San Diego Chargers. Um, Even though it would never happen, Baltimore Ravens. That's the team to go fit. It's basically set up for him I mean, to be honest with you, that's Lamar Jackson is a young Colin Kaepernick. Third team, honestly, kind of hard to say. This might be a little biased, man. 49ers.
Yeah, not to start. I mean, he'll probably be a backup.
Yeah,
So I agree with you with the Chargers. I put Washington Redskins and Chicago Bears. And the reason why I say Washington Redskins is because
I
Derek
like the
has
Bears.
what his name, Dwayne Haskins. He ain't ready to start. And even if he does start, I'm not sold on him. But if Colin Kaepernick, if they gave him a chance and he came in and he lit it up, they'll let Derek. I mean, I keep saying Derek Haskins. I got a classmate named Derek Haskins. That's what I keep saying it. But Dwayne Haskins, they will probably just let him sit on the bench another year or so. But the Bears,
I
I
don't know.
think that the Bears would be a good place for him because Nick Foles, I mean, Nick Foles ain't gonna hold down no spot. He just ain't. That's why he been moved all over the place. He had a little hot run with the Eagles, but they let him go because they didn't want to pay him the money because they do. Of course, they had Carson Wentz, but they didn't feel like he's as valuable to. He wasn't a franchise quarterback. Same through the Jaguars. If the Jaguars felt so highly about him, they wouldn't have let Garner Minshew keep his job when Foles came back. Foles was playing well the first game, got hurt the first game of the season. They act like Gardner Minshew had them in playoff contention, and when Foles came back, they let him keep playing. I'm like, I mean, he's a rookie, but he's not lighting it up. So Nick Foles is not the answer.
Oh
Trubisky is
snap!
not the answer. I feel like the Bears, they have the type of team where Colin Kaepernick could thrive because if he had to go to a team with a really good defense, and then he could. The way that he plays is already built for how they had a system set up with Trubisky, but he's better than Trubisky.
Right,
He's
right.
smarter with the ball. He throws the ball better. He's more accurate, and he's faster. So got more experience,
Yeah,
been to the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't even know if that's something they're thinking about, but the Bears would be a good place for Colin Kaepernick, in my personal opinion. Um,
yeah. Now
and
me,
it'll be a good place for him too. When you think about, his social activism and Chicago being a place where a lot of black people are, like black on black crime. I know that he's not a social activist for that, but I think his face in Chicago would be a positive thing for that city. You know what I'm saying? So,
good point.
just thinking about it from a different perspective, I think that'd be a good spot for him. But go ahead.
Oh man, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I wouldn't even think about Chicago. Chicago would actually be pretty perfect, I would say, because I was already thinking, my perfect fit this year, quarterback, is Cam Newton going to Chicago.
That
That's
would
what
be
I
a
want
good
to
move
see.
too.
That's something I'm looking forward. That's something I'm expecting to happen. I'm actually expecting him to go to Chicago or New England. On a surprise note, I don't think that'll be a bad place for Colin either. I don't think New England would be a bad place at all. I think that'd be a good place to kind of try to resurrect your career, especially with a Bill Belichick. You ain't gonna have to do a lot. You ain't gonna be expected to do as much.
He ain't going to New England.
Yeah,
That's
I
in
know he
Boston.
ain't going, but
That's
it
in
wouldn't.
Boston. They
Oh yeah,
racist. They
oh yeah.
racist. Yeah. They ain't. It ain't gonna happen. I mean, it'll be a good fit because I think anybody that Belichick brings in is a good fit because I think people go there with the mindset that I'm going to work with the greatest of all time as a coach and I'm gonna do what I got to do. Like their
Yeah.
ego is left at the door when they step on the grounds in New England. I also got three teams for backups with Colin. I got the Bills, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. I think those are three teams that he'd be a good backup because he's not gonna take their positions. He's not taking Russell Wilson position. Kyler Murray, even though the Cardinals are not great yet, they're not gonna take that away from him. And then the Bills, Josh Allen, he plays the position good enough, but he also plays like Colin Kaepernick in that style. So I think Colin Kaepernick could be good at any of those three teams as a backup. What's your thoughts?
I mean, well, I don't know about well, the Bills. Didn't the Bills sign? I have to check it, but I'm sure they signed another quarterback in the offseason to be the backup to Josh Allen. I can't remember exactly who it is.
No, they
Um,
did. They all these teams have backups. I was
but
saying
what's
Colin Kaepernick
no,
could
but
be a
what's
good
funny
backup.
is no, they signed somebody pretty good. I can't think of who it is. Somebody a potential starter. I can't think of the name right off the top right now. But you kind of segued into what I was thinking when you said the top backup teams because that's what I was actually going to say is I don't think he could come in the league and be a starter. I think any team he goes to is going to be as a backup. Um, So to be honest with you, besides the Chargers, the other two teams that I named, I think he'd be a real good backup for. I think he'd be a real good backup for Baltimore. I don't think RG3 is very good. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So I think in a Lamar Jackson role, being able to tutor him and give him some tutelage, actually working under the same coach, offensive coordinator, I think that would be big. I think that would be a number one spot. But another place that I would say I would think I like New Orleans. I mean, it sounds crazy, um, but I like New Orleans. I like what he brings, his versatility, and I just the weapons around him. Imagine having Colin Kaepernick and Alvin Kamara in the backfield,
Yeah.
running some kind of option with Michael Thomas running the slant across the middle and Emmanuel Sanders going down the field. Oh, bro, that could be ridiculous.
It would be if he was a starter every day. We already got a Taysom Hill, and our offense is just it's so different. It ain't like all these teams I name, and even the ones you name outside of the Saints. Those teams have quarterbacks that play a very similar style to Colin Kaepernick. And I mean, they signed Jameis Winston, who's a quarterback that throws the ball, who has more of a style that Sean Payton will wants to run his offense. I don't see Colin Kaepernick as a good play in New Orleans, just simply because it's the styles are two totally different styles. But if they were going to use him as a Taysom Hill, which that's not something that Colin Kaepernick gonna ride with, then I agree because he's so versatile. Um,
Yeah.
so let's move on. What's your fantasy? So we don't have no fantasy right now, not fantasy that we actually care about, but for the most part, most of us care about. They do have some fantasy going on though. KBO, Korean baseball, has hit the scene, and most people didn't know that they even had a Korean baseball league, but they do. And FanDuel and DraftKings have been capitalizing off of it. So I got a few picks for Tuesday's matchups. There's no games today, but they
Yeah.
do have games tomorrow. So I got a couple of good picks, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and give your picks first, Lonnie. See what you got for the Korean baseball fans.
Dude, I've been looking. I think my picks might be the ones that I can pronounce. Um, I figured I'd go with all the names of the teams that have technology. Samsung, hey, yeah, over lot, hey, LG over Kawoom or whoever it is, and Doosan. I went with Doosan because hey, that just start with a D. My last name start with a D, so hey, I'm rolling with it. So my picks are Samsung, Kia, LG, Doosan, and KT. I don't know what KT is, um, but yes, those are my picks.
So, there you go. Lonnie's logic for his picks based off of teams that have the names of technology and the car. Kia,
Yes.
Samsung, LG. So I got three picks. I got one pitcher, Aaron Brooks. So Aaron Brooks, he's $25 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings. He's starting for the Kia, and his value is pretty good right now. In comparison, if you've been playing, you recognize those prices are not very expensive in comparison to the highest prices, and he's sporting a 3.0 ERA and 1.19 WHIP through his first eight starts, which is not great from American standards, but it's been pretty good for Korean baseball standards as far as the stats go. So it's a safe pick. It may be a pick that's going to help you cash games, but it's a safe pick. And then for my fielders, I got Jose Miguel Fernandez. Some of y'all may know him because he is not Korean. He is not Korean, but he has been killing it, and he has been killing it in the league. And then what a lot of y'all probably don't know is Addison Russell from the Chicago Cubs just signed, and his first game is going to be Tuesday. And he's expensive. I mean, he may not even play well, but he's
Addison
expensive.
Russell.
But Addison Russell is one of my picks. He's probably got coming in fresh legs, got something to prove, and we know he played pretty well in the pros, so he may play even better in Korea. Lonnie, you got some PGA picks?
Man, I looked up some PGA. The PGA is a little delayed. But I looked at. They don't have anybody um that I looked at that I even knew. It's I guess a lot of the bigger players, top players right now aren't really playing. And it's going to be a couple of weeks before they have another tournament where some actual players that people know that'll be able to play. But as far as golf goes, when it comes down to it, I'm gonna actually give a couple of picks when it comes to golf that are picks that I would basically tell people to look at whenever they are playing golf. It's usually like two or three of them that I almost bank on just when I play that are usually gonna do good. Um, those three guys are Brooks Koepka. Love him. Always usually tends to do good in fantasy. Rory McIlroy does good. He's usually a little overpriced, but he always tends to be balanced out to where you won't have to you don't overpay for him. You don't tend to overpay for him, even though he can be overpriced. He's always consistent, so you know what you're gonna get from him. My other top pick is I know this one might sound a little what everybody's expecting, but Tiger. Tiger Woods is somebody that over the last year or so has played really consistent, really good golf. Won a few championships, of course, as we know. So just to give an idea, just to give people some generalization of some picks when it comes to golf, those are three guys that I know for sure. Whenever you're building your fantasy lineup, if they're playing, you probably definitely want to try to have them in it or try to figure out a way to put them in it.
Cool. Well, we're gonna get all your fantasy picks. You're gonna get all your fantasy picks from Lonnie, cause I don't know nothing about golf. So if I gave you names, it'll simply be based off of me guessing. So rather than me guessing and leading you in the wrong direction, we're gonna go with those three players: Tiger Woods, Brooks, and who else?
Rory
Yeah,
McIlroy.
Rory McIlroy. There you go. If you're playing golf, make sure you have a combination of those three players in your lineup. And if they do terrible, remember, it came from Lonnie, not from Capel.
Good one. Good
All
one.
right, that's all we got for y'all today. We hope you enjoyed the show. And we out. We'll be back next week with another episode of Hold This Air.